Well, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order for the March 24, 2025 Macc Area Coordinating Council Policy Board. And let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's do a roll call.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we track it in the back to make sure we got everybody in attendance, but we can go around real quick.
All right. Let's start. Why don't we start with Tyler?
All right. Tyler Kent, MDOT, Grand Region.
Frank Garcia, full commission.
Aline Heist, your host, Olive Township, and I just want to mention one little housekeeping thing. If you're a man and you use the urinal and you flush it and it keeps running, don't panic. It'll shut off in about 2 minutes. Thank you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Now we got it.
Larry Brown, Allegan County Road Commission.
Jim Story at large, Macc.
Kevin Kleinstra, City of Zeeland. Steve Spoolhonk, Park Township.
Nathan Bach, City of Holland.
Jason Latham, Macc.
Craig Van Beek, Elgin County Commissioner.
Ryan Nevada, Max Transit.
Russ Desai with Holland Charter Township.
Luke DeVries, Port Sheldon Township.
Mandy Cooper, at large, Lakeshore Advantage.
Josh Eccleston, Zealand Township.
Luke Walters, MDOT, Skipway Plain. Alec Miller from Mac. Eric Dexter with Mac.
We're going to roll presentation in the public comment.
I'm
here.
all right. And I'm gonna guess we have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Yes, we do. Please have it.
Yep. And next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Motion, support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3, public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board at this time?
And I think we're going to roll the presentation into public comment. How about that?
All right.
This was going to be our first item under transportation, but it didn't actually technically get into the minutes, so we're calling it public comment since Pam's from the public.
A little bit of impromptu. So, like I said, my name is Pam Blazo. I am with AECOM. We are a consulting firm that was hired by the MAC to do a safety action plan. We do have a sub-consultant, C2G, who could not be here today, but they've been a vital member of our team throughout this. So a little bit about an overview. Hopefully everybody's aware, MAC received a grant through the Safe Streets and Roads for All funding program through Federal Highway, USDOT. Basically, it was to create a regional safety action plan. There's 8 required components with that must be met in order to be considered an eligible action plan. And some of the main things is to review the existing policy documents, make some recommendations and potential changes that way. A lot of engagement out there with the public and stakeholders, but at the end of it to come up with a list of projects, right? Strategies, action items, and projects that could be implemented to improve safety throughout the area. So kind of why is this plan needed, right? A little bit behind the numbers. So just shy of 39,000 traffic crashes over 10 years. And within those, 740 resulted in a fatality or serious injury. So you'll hear us refer to FSI, fatal serious injury. Those are those kind of crashes. So unfortunately, somebody who passed away either on scene or within the 30 days after, or somebody that was seriously injured, so they had to leave the scene in an ambulance, like their daily life was altered. So throughout this project, one of the things we looked at is the historical crash data over 10 years. And we came up with a high injury network. So we actually looked at 3 different factors to go into the high injury network. One is the historical crash data. The other is looking at predictive crash analysis. And then the third was contextual. So looking at those segments that showed the same risk as where the historical crashes happened, but luckily hasn't had that severe crash yet, but has the same existing characteristics in terms of type of roadway, land use, those kind of things. And throughout combining all that, we come up with a high injury network. You can see the map here. And basically it's about 21% of the roadway network mileage, but it accounts for 77% of that historical fatal and serious injury crashes over that 10 years. So there is an equity component. I know that's a little bit in flux throughout the federal government right now. The grant program, as awarded to Macc, and then the grant agreement did require an equity analysis. So we have included that. Here you can kind of see the key populations, mostly focused on households without a vehicle, but also minority and poverty. And then on the right here, you can kind of see the map. This is that high injury network map overlaid on the census tracts that are zero-car households. So kind of what appears kind of greenish, darker green, those are the census tracts that are determined to be zero-car households, which is more than the 2% threshold. And then, like I mentioned, engagement is a large portion of the project, right? So we did have a safety committee. So we had members from many of the jurisdictions here around the table were on the safety committee. We also engaged the public. We had both online and in-person engagement out there. We did have an online interactive mapping tool. You can see that there on the bottom right. So I know it's hard to see that far away, but every little dot you see is a public comment. So somebody from the public went in, made a comment, noted the location. It does include what we received during the in-person public meeting as well. Those were all inputted, so we had them all in one spot. So you can kind of see here at the open house, 38 attendees, the interactive mapping, 202 comments from the public. So some key takeaways from the public survey. Public really identified distracted drivers and high speeds as their top concerns for safety throughout the area. Pedestrian and bicycle issues, from the public standpoint, were their highest priority. That was the most commented on safety concern in general overall, but also specific location pinpointed throughout the region. So again, a desire for safer travel for everybody, so not just motorists, but pedestrians, cyclists as well. And then the sidewalk and path availability was the top reason for people who did list that they felt unsafe walking or biking. That was the top reason they cited, was sidewalk or path availability. And again, this is for the whole Macc region, so I know there's a little bit of difference in availability as you kind of move throughout the different areas of the region. And then the map on the right is just kind of from that interactive mapping. You took everything, all the comments combined, and you can kind of see the hot spots of those top locations that multiple people were commenting on. All right, through the plan, you had to have a vision statement and goals and overarching. So this is what the Macc Policy Board would be adopting. This is proposed vision is to eliminate traffic-related deaths by 2050. We do realize it can seem like a lofty goal to get to zero. From the program standpoint, you do have to either pick a year that is your goal for that, or at least commit to eventually reaching zero. 2050, we also looked at it about a 2% reduction per year. I think if you think about it in those terms, it's a little bit more manageable to kind of think about as you go. The 2050 is kind of that target year being used by most agencies throughout Michigan, but also throughout the U.S. And is the year being used by MDOT for their ultimate towards zero death goal. So with it, some goals and objectives. We have here safer people, safer roads, safer speeds, safer vehicles, post-crash care. These match up to the safe system approach. That is the new kind of paradigm shift that Federal Highway is really moving towards, being less reactive, more proactive as we go through. So we did set the goals and objectives up to kind of match up with that as well. From a policy review, we did look at the existing local policies, so master plans, non-motorized plans, DDA plans. And then we had some strategies tied to them and some recommendations. We did keep the recommendations in the plan tied to Macc in terms of some things that they could look at adopting and implementing. But basically, it was kind of around these three priority kind of categories here. So engineering policy, road design. So making sure that the design of the roadways, right, is accommodating all users, reducing conflict points out there at intersections. Because when we looked at the data, 38% of the fatal serious injury crashes were angle-related crashes, mostly at intersections, some at driveways, but mostly at intersections. It also has some traffic calming, and then your pedestrian bicycle infrastructure, again, tying back to that public comment of their concern for having more accessible pathways. And then we have some education policies. So understanding that road owners cannot fully reach zero on their own, right? It's going to take a lot of different collaborative partners. So education and enforcement partners as well. Some strategy recommendations around those. Getting into the action plan itself. So the report draft right now is out online for public comment. It is a pretty lengthy document in order to meet all the federal requirements, right, of the grant agreement. We have kind of set it up so that the section 8 in there, the action plan, can be a standalone document. So this is what practitioners can use on a daily basis without having to get into all of the other sections as they look through it. So in there, we do address some recommendations. We have safety strategies and action items for different emphasis areas. You can see those on the screen here. So intersections, vulnerable road users, that's your bicyclists, your pedestrians, lane departures, segment-related, young drivers, post-crash care, and railroad crossings. So for each of those emphasis areas, there's some additional data in there, and then strategies and action items tied to them. As we get a little bit further into the plan, there is a list of projects that have been identified. So we did meet with the road owners, and then looking at the data as well, we came forward with some of our suggestions as well, and ran those through the road owners kind of for their concurrence. So there's nothing that requires anybody to actually have to implement these projects because they're in the plan, but these are projects that should and will improve safety if they are implemented, right? So in here we do have them kind of categorized from a timeline from short term to long term. There's 59 separate projects that are listed in there. There's an additional 6 illustrative projects. These are your like long-term, far out, 20 to 40-year type projects that the region could start to undertake now, so that as they move forward, they could have some implementation there. And then for some of the locations, we actually went the next step and we did conceptual drawings and cost estimates. So I have a few slides for that here for you guys, and of course I think everybody will have access to this presentation afterwards. So one was for Ottawa County Road Commission. This was actually brought forward by the Road Commission as a potential project. So it's actually 3 separate locations, 3 separate intersections, Riley Street, Butternut, and 144th. If you can't see the road names from where you're sitting. But basically it's 3 different roundabouts, but really this skew of Butternut and Riley could not really fit a single roundabout in there just based on the skew and get the deflection angles. But you could do a dual roundabout there, and you could either make it a true peanut or you can kind of keep it as 2 individual ones. We got the one up there by Family Fair, so 144th and Butternut. And then the one that's actually down at Riley at 144th is proposed as a compact or a mini. So more of the small residential type ones for those 2 streets, right? So you kind of got a little bit of everything going on in types of roundabouts for this. And then across the bottom, you can see the different cost estimates for the different ones, ranging from the compact mini at $1.7 million. And that includes right-of-way, design, construction, engineering, oversight. All those costs are added up to get to that total. So you're ranging from the $1.7 million up to your Butternut Riley kind of dual at 5.5. Then we also had 136th Avenue. This is up by the West Ottawa schools. So it's kind of a combination of things. You can see the blue line there on the bottom of the graphic. So that would actually be on the east side of the roadway. So that would be connecting some sidewalk pathway that's not there right now. We'd be adding 2 rectangular rapid flashing beacon crossings for the students. And then it would have pedestrian scale lighting running through there as well. And that would actually run from Riley up to Duncan Street. So looking at that, it came up to a cost estimate just over $1 million. So some things to note, and again, because I knew you guys would kind of have access to this afterwards to be able to look at, the estimate did include decorative light poles, so the more like fluted type with the little acorn light. So it would be cheaper if you went with just plain lights, so we do have that noted on there. We get into a couple locations that would take some partnership with MDOT. So US 31 at Chicago Drive, we did look at 2 different options for the southbound off-ramp there. One would be to signalize it for the left turn. One would be an indirect left turn crossover. That was kind of removed from consideration after the drawing standpoint. So we did 2 different estimates as well here. One would be using mast arms for both the southbound off-ramp and northbound. And one would be your standard just wire, like steel poles with wires running across for the signal heads. But again, this would require, support and a permit from MDOT. There's some additional analysis that would need to be done as well. Signal warrant analysis, some progression analysis because you do have Waverly Road, right, adjacent there. So it needs a little bit further look before moving forward into essentially construction. Down in Allegan County, we had the Blue Star Highway, 58th Street and 139th Avenue intersection. So there's questions and concerns here. It's got a bit of a skew. You have multiple roads coming in. There has been a fatality down there. The question was, would a roundabout fit? Would it even be feasible? So that's kind of what led to this. So we did kind of draw it up, taking 139th and connecting it in. So it is feasible. It would fit there. There is some right-of-way, obviously, impacts. There is a Semco regulator station there on the north side of 139th, and we're assuming that then there's a parallel running pipeline, so the leg of 139th had to shift a little bit higher. One to get the angles, but that's what results in some of the right-of-way impacts there. But if you're looking at the type of businesses, right, minor right-of-way for the gas station, really not much impact to the truck business side. And then that business that is up there in that northeast quad, it's a trainables. And I put a picture in there because I wasn't sure what that meant when I looked it up. It's the little kind of cart you pull behind a tractor, hayride type situation. So that comes in about 2.7 million for that as well. And then I will say the right-of-way cost estimates are based on what we received from the road commissions for how much per acre. And then the next one that would require some partnership with MDOT, but also looking at some Eagle permits, would be a non-motorized pathway under 196. This is south of Adams Street. So wetland impacts have been estimated, 0.82 acres, but not estimated. Right-of-way costs are not in the estimate as well. But without those included, it's at 4.5 million approximately. It would go under the bridges over the Macc River, 196. We do have some kind of caveats, I guess, called out for consideration based on the existing type of piers that are there. And again, this would require MDOT support, MDOT permit, hydraulic analysis. We do recommend a geotech investigation as well for it, and then likely an Eagle permit. So there are some things. I will say the Safe Streets and Roads for All program, one of the unique things about it is all of those are eligible costs. If you submit for an implementation funding and you receive the funding, you can count right-of-way acquisition and get reimbursed for it. You can count all of the NEPA environmental reviews, all the design. So it's kind of a unique program in that standpoint. Just kind of want to leave it here with a couple things. So the draft plan is up on the website right now. We are accepting public comment through the end of the month. So if any of you have not kind of taken a look at it in depth, I know different representatives from the agencies have, but if you have not personally taken a look at it, please, by all means, go take a look. Send back any comments you have so we can incorporate them. So kind of looking at our next steps would be submitting the final action plan to Macc on April 4th. That would be to meet a TAC meeting of April 14th, which would be an adoption essentially by this board April 28th. That's to meet our best guess of the requirements for the next round of funding. The notice of funding opportunity is not out yet. It must be out by the end of March. So they got about another week to get that posted. We're assuming the end of April as a deadline based on last year's for that. But obviously we'll be in communication with Macc as soon as the NOFO comes out for any changes. And then moving forward beyond the final adoption, as projects are implemented, safety is improved out there, there's an annual progress tracking kind of be posted on the website. So I know you can't read this from where you are, but there's kind of 5 different metrics to be tracked on a 5-year rolling average, from total crashes, fatal serious injury crashes, the vulnerable road user crashes. But then we have kind of coming out of some of the data and public comment, aggressive driving and distracted driving as well. And then this is just thrown in there for everybody's use once this goes out. This is kind of best guess hot off the press for the next round of funding. So the APBB has put out some notice that they are expecting NOFO to still come out end of the month. They're expecting a one date deadline for applications this year rather than the 3 last year. So assuming it's the 1 date, then it would be 90 days, so that would be in June, right? So in terms of going for that next round of funding. So just wanted to kind of give you guys the last update on that we have while we wait for that final NOFO. I guess any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions? So Pam went over a lot of information. I think the one thing I'd like to just make sure everybody knows, we had a safety action team. We had our TAC folks. We've been working with our TAC members, certainly getting feedback from the public as well. So there's so much information that went into this the safety action plan, which the foundation is data. It's data. It's math. It's injuries, fatalities. Developing that high injury network and knowing where that is, and then certain actions that we can take to make our road work safer is huge. So to me, this is kind of a foundational document that we can always go back to and use. But to Pam's point, because it's in the plan, it's not forcing anybody to do anything. What we're doing is trying to take data and information and put it somewhere where we can make good, informed decisions in the future. So it's a wealth of information that I'm looking forward to diving into for the next several years to help us.
Yeah,
So.
and the plan was kind of the first step required through that Safe Streets and Roads for All to open up that next round of funding. So you had to have a plan completed, meet all the requirements, and then you can go for implementation, which is essentially design and construction funding. And it is an unprecedented amount of funding out there for the local agencies. You can receive, each local agency can submit an application under this Macc plan, and each agency can submit multiple projects in that application. And their thresholds that they were giving last year were from $2 million to $25 million of federal funds per application. So that is an amount of federal funds for safety that I don't think anybody in this room has probably seen other than MDOT, but that's still, then it has to be split statewide, which gets, it goes fast, I guess, when you're splitting it statewide. And on the MDOT Highway Safety Improvement Program, generally speaking, there's been a little bit more funding now. I think it's up to about $21 million per year for the entire state. So this is a program that now each agency can receive more federal funding for safety than what the entire state of Michigan has through the Highway Safety Improvement Program. So it really is an opportunity to go out there and
Now that we have
receive
this
money.
safety action plan done, once it's approved, now that's opened that door that we can go after that. And this plan will help us do that.
I'm kind of a new guy here, so I don't know if this is appropriate at this level to ask the question. The last item that you showed on that, on your slide, the conceptual slide of the underpass or the tunnel underneath the highway, delightful idea before the highway was built to put that in. A crappy idea after you have a highway built. $4.5 million. What's driving that? Who's driving that? A half mile down the road, you have a bridge over 96 on 16th Street, Adams. I guess the question I have is that a appropriate use of funding, and even to ask that type of project? I mean, that's a lot of money for a non-motorized solution. You had all the motorized solutions were under $4.5 million. So I guess I'm just, the gut check for me is, seems a little excessive.
So that came out of conversations with the public, with the church, ODC, and with the drain commissioner. So connecting the parkland on the east side with the trails and other items on the west-hand side. And really, any access is good. Like, that's an access point that if, I don't know, if it was designed better, maybe constructed a little bit different with a bench, and I know the drain commissioner's planning on going through there and doing some stuff, that you have to have things on paper so people understand kind of what that future use is. So, I don't know, kind of picture maybe being there with your family and you're on your bikes, you're hiking or you're walking and you want to go to Hawthorne Pond or cross back and forth. You're not going to go, all right, let's go up on Adams and let's cross the interchange and let's ride back down, then we'll come here and then we'll go all the way back around. There's a, 200-foot bridge that's 30 feet high. Let's just walk underneath that. So it's just putting that out there, that this would make sense. Obviously, it's costly, but MDOT's going to have to, at some point, replace that bridge, and when they do, this is what they're going to have to put back. Or not have to put back, but this is like, hey, we've done the public outreach, we've worked with everybody, this makes sense. And I don't think it would really add anything to what MDOT's doing when they're doing a bridge replacement. It'd be, let's incorporate the plans that have been put together already.
All right. Any other questions? Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Pam. I didn't hear the words autonomous vehicle at all. Did that factor into any of this next 30 years?
Yeah, so some of the strategies that are in there for the different emphasis areas will definitely set up the region for when autonomous vehicles and connected vehicles hit a higher market saturation. Right now, this plan is really trying to get at what can be done in like the next 10 years, really. So focusing it more on, less, I guess, on connected vehicles, but anything that is done. So they'll adding the edge lines. So in the Macc has got urban area and rural area, right? So there's strategies for both. So adding the paved shoulders, adding the edge lines so that those connected vehicles can function in that environment once they do start to saturate the market. So those strategies are in the plan, just not a specific project identified on that list because we're not necessarily viewing that as within that next 10 years. But anytime you go out and you upgrade a signal, there are things you can be doing to make sure you're prepared, right, for when that happens at that point.
But you've identified the things that as we repair roads and things like that we should keep in mind to add?
Yeah, and we can actually add a separate subsection specifically for those items. Maybe that would make it, I think, more clear for the document moving forward. Yep.
Any other questions?
Maybe just a quick question, Pam. I don't know if you know, will the next announcement have DOTs eligible? Because I think currently state DOTs are not eligible applicants.
That is a correct statement. Currently, state DOTs are not eligible, but SS4A funds can be used on a state DOT roadway if submitted by the local agency with a letter of support from the DOT. The first part of your question, I do not have that crystal ball, so I do not know if state DOTs would become eligible. My guess is no, but that is a complete guess.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Pam.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? Great, we'll close the public comment period. Next is transportation program.
Yep.
I'm going to turn it over to you, Jason.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So that's Alec. You're going to jump in with our tip amendments.
All right, first things first, go green. We're all state fans here, so that's good. That other team maybe won. I don't know. I didn't hear anything. It's whatever. So, big announcement here, everybody. Big announcement. I got a new bike. Notice this. Big lock on it right there. And I moved it closer to my house. So this one's not getting stolen, or else I'm moving out of Holland this time. So I want you to be the sole protector of my bike. Okay?
How secure secure as that fence to the deck.
Fence and a bike.
See a guy walking down the sidewalk with a fence and a pipe.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So tip amendments. Job number 223696. This is existing timber sheeting revetment. Was constructed along the Macc River around 1930 to protect the roadway slope. A recent field inspection of the wall revealed significant deterioration and needing replacement for that. So that's what one of them is. Next one is job number 223961. This is a new TAP grant for Macc Transit to install 14 bus shelters, 14 solar-powered lights, 14 fixed benches, 10 bike racks, and wayfinding signs throughout the Macc service area. Then we have job number 213339. This is an abandoned special markings project to combine with a long line project for a single region wide contract. And if this is all confusing, it'll be on the next screen, and then Tyler's going to help me out explain it too, because he always does. Job number 213275. This combines specials and long line projects. It revises the construction, CE, and PE budgets based on a combination and anticipated needs. So that's everything that I said right there. Tyler, if you'd like to add anything to...
You did good, Alec. Just regarding the special pavement markings, we're not abandoning them completely. Due to the price of paint over the last few years, it's been more affordable for us to try to combine them with our typical paint restriping job, which is just applying the pavement markings that are already out there. And trying to do that every other year as opposed to every year. Otherwise, it'll be hard to do that every year. And the other one was a bank stabilization job on the BL, a little east of Waverly. And as Alec mentioned, it's probably the original sheet piling that's out there, and this is part of our project. We just had a recent scope verification meeting where we looked at that stuff in detail and have to bump the cost up a little bit for that project. As we're looking at a number of factors, MOT, the actual materials used for that, if we remove the guardrail, put it back, a lot of new elements with it, so cost is going up. But those are two big ones for me. If anybody has any questions on them?
Yeah, any questions of those? If not, I'll ask for a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Larry.
Support.
Got support right here. All right, so we got a motion to support. Any discussion? Any further discussion? No? All in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. And then opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Alec.
That's all I have.
All right, so next up, MDOT. We're going to do comments. Anything new and exciting, Luke?
I do not this time. I'll defer to Luke.
So last month I reported that we were running into some delays with federal approvals for TIP amendments, and we were anticipating some potential delays for our Unified Work Program approvals and other TIP approvals. Since then, things have come back to a normal state, what they were previously. So we have seen a normal cadence of approvals. Very thankful for that. So we're going to continue moving as usual, but just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
That's good news. Very good news. And Federal Highway's not here. I don't think I have anything to say on their behalf. I know we just talked to them last week, but very good. All right. Any questions or anything for MDOT?
The new, or the proposed new transportation bill out there with eliminating the sales tax and putting the gas tax in its place on gas, do you feel like that's going to be enough funding for you guys for the future?
It's still all up in the air right now as to what bill comes through, and as you probably know, the bill will change a few number of times as it goes through the state legislature. So, at this time I really can't comment on what's the right amount or not the right amount. So I appreciate it though.
Has the I haven't heard anything from any. A state rep was going to send me a draft to show what's in there and just go through it, but that would be for informational purposes only, because you don't know what's going to happen as it goes through the process. But have any of the associations on the county side or city side, like MML, anybody, are they supporting things or not?
I think they're supporting the one that went through the House.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
MML is.
As far as how this is the switch from sales tax to fuel tax, that's just going to go through the formula, just like the normal funding does for the transportation fund. So, it's I think in Allegan, at the road commission in Allegan, I just kind of roughed the numbers out. I think we would be looking at, just for that part of it, maybe $4 million more in the MTF funds. I have no idea what it would mean to MDOT, but.
I think that bill, isn't it, for 3.1 billion?
Yeah, that's part of, this is part of that entire bill.
I'm curious.
Not all of it, but.
I like they're doing some math on that and so forth. How does that money get allocated?
That's, well,
And
like I said, the
and
sales.
over what period of time, you know?
The sales part of it, or the sales tax part of it is pretty well defined, the way it's written. The rest of it, I think that's a little more in flux.
Maybe just to chime in one more time, Larry, since you talked, didn't the County Road Association look at like estimated cost needs for the county road system on itself back a couple years ago? Maybe that has some insights on it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did that study. So, yeah, that is a factor in there, and I don't have the exact numbers on how the rest of that 3.1, 3.2. I've heard 3.1, I've heard 3.2, I don't know. What's $0.1 billion amongst friends, but
Quite a lot.
yeah. so yeah, there's a lot to be determined there yet.
I guess I'm a little concerned about too much emphasis on gas. What happens when we get more electric vehicles? The funding will disappear with that then. So.
Yeah, certainly that is a factor. Everybody's talking about EVs, but really what's hurting us on the gas consumption, probably in a bigger way right now, is the hybrids. At least on the EVs, they do pay an additional registration fee. Thank you. We'd like to increase that, by the way, but
Just so you know, I just re-registered my vehicles. My Mustang, my '66 Mustang was $44. My Ford F-150 Lightning was $966. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Very generous of you.
Yeah, well, I haven't been to the gas pump with a Ford F-150 yet, so I haven't paid any gas taxes on that one. It was a hard bite, but it was once. Yeah.
That's right. So, and we do appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, good discussion there. Jumping to administrative update, I'm going to start with financial report. I wasn't able to get from Chris the actual total financial package submitted with the agenda to you, but these are the numbers. I wanted to at least get it up here on the screen. Those are the major funding categories that we have, and right now things are looking good. Our CPG, we're at 51%. You can see that CMAC and data collection, those are very summer heavy, so those will be starting up here real soon.
We have a lot of committed contracts already.
Yes.
With that just haven't been paid out yet.
Yep, we have contracts and commitments with Grand Valley and West Plan on the CMAC side as well. And AECom, thank you, Pam, for all the work that you and your team have done. We're at 74%, so we just got that in the mail Friday. So we have 71,000 remaining in that contract, and I'd say we're pretty close to being done, probably 95%. So we're looking at the remaining balance, supporting our members, whether it's through going after construction grants or just putting more information down on the safety aspects for each member. But more to come on that. Let's see, banking powers. We got to jump in with this now that we have new exec and new chair. What we're looking for today is a motion to get those folks on the as signatories on our banking power. This form here is basically what we get from Macatawa Bank. They break it down into those categories. So to get Mayor Box, Tom Bird, and Steve Spoolhof as our signers. That's what we're looking for today. The memo was in the packet, so hopefully you guys got a chance to see it. But are there any questions with that? Typically, it's the double signature. Anything that is over $3,000, we need 2 signatures on that. So it's nice to have a few folks that can get by the office and help sign those. That's the key. So looking for a motion to approve the banking powers as presented.
I'll make the motion.
All right. In support. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
And then opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, community fireworks. We're going to do this just like we did last year. Judy and I are pretty confident that last year the $38,050 is going to be what it will be the same as it is this year. Based on our conversations. We don't have a formal contract yet, but we want to keep this moving forward. So what we're hoping is that we can get approval today to up to $40,000 based on the same funding formula. And that's what it was last year. And if it were to go to 40, you can see that's a pretty nominal increase. But I still think it's going to be under the 40. And like I said, the information that Judy got last Monday, right before she left, is that the contractor thought it would stay the same. But we said, we'll believe it when we see it, so we're still waiting for the contract to come. But it does help if we can get the board to approve it today to up to the $40,000, then that just keeps the behind-the-scenes things rolling, so we can hit our July 4th. Yes.
So I got that amount in the budget for Lake Town Township, but I didn't get approval to spend it without coming back to the board and getting permission. And I think it's right now 4-1 against.
Okay, interesting.
I'm the one for. I got 4 against. So you might have to take that into account.
Very nice. Well, that makes things a little bit more difficult, but
Sorry about that. I wasn't very persuasive. It's my fault.
well, I'm planning on swinging by to your working group session next week on the 2nd. Maybe that's a topic I can bring up. Okay. All right, but as this board is concerned, what I'm looking for is a motion to approve up to $40,000 for the event.
I guess I have a question. Was that 4-1 against just the fireworks, or 4-1 against your total budget?
4-1 against not just the fireworks, but we have a bunch of things that are called contracted services, which are where we pay Lakeshore Advantage and other entities who provide services that are not necessarily direct to the township, but have an impact on our residents' lives. And there are 4 people on the board who don't think we should support things that are not direct for the township, but in fact just make the quality of life and make it a better community.
Okay, so that's 4-1 against the entire payment to the Macc.
I took that out of contracted services because the Macc actually does provide services directly to the township. So I got that on a different cycle. But I had to break it out just like I broke Mandy and Lakeshore Advantage out because Lakeshore Advantage provides. But things like the legal assistance in Allegan County, mediation services, things like that, those were all things that my fellow board members oppose spending money on.
And I guess my second question, Jason, is this $40,000 included in the total budget for the Macc, or is this a separate line item?
That's a separate line item. This
Okay.
is a whole separate piece. Even though we do it every year.
Okay, so it's an additional allocation for each one of the members?
Yep, over and above dues.
Over and above dues?
Yep.
So if they back out, then the cost for everybody else goes up.
Is that-
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to try again.
All right.
Okay.
The county can kick in.
Yeah. We're used to kicking in. Yeah, that's what we do.
All right. Well, I'm still looking, I think, moving forward, it'd be nice for this board to kind of,
Yeah, we don't have a motion on the floor, but from a city standpoint, if that happens, I think I could go back to Holland City Council and make the argument that the fireworks are important enough for the people of the city of Holland for us to make up that difference.
I'll buy you lunch if you do that.
I would be willing to go back to my body and say it's worth it for us to do that this year, and then we would put pressure on your constituents to say, hey, next time you come to Collin Park to watch the fireworks,
there'll be a fee.
Well, not that there'd be a fee, but
Yeah.
hey, just so you know, yeah. But I would, from my perspective, I would be willing to go back to my board and say I think it's worth it for us to carry that extra weight.
We do have a money machine that we can flip on and just print it out of the county if you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well,
Still looking for a motion.
I still think, I'm still looking for a motion. I think that's maybe the best way to go, unless you guys are thinking of kicking it down to next month. But like I said, it just does help if we have this in our back pocket, then we can keep moving forward on the contract and writing things up and giving folks the green light that we're moving forward, as opposed to saying, well, the board hasn't approved it yet. But
Make a
For
motion to
clarity's
approve.
sake, are you willing, would the city take that whole amount? Or
No, I would not be interested in going back to Holland City Council and say, let's cover that whole
Okay,
amount.
you're saying
I
that
would
would
say,
get broken up
I
into
would say
small- that should
if
be-
everybody else is willing to take that proportionally, but then I would certainly like every person in Lake Town Township to know that, guess what, your board isn't interested in supporting this, and embarrass the heck out of that board. I would be willing to lead that charge as well.
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the community fireworks. This is something that we do as a community together, and I appreciate you being the one, I really do. But this is a community thing that we do together. And I've been vocal in the past that people think these are the City of Holland fireworks. And I've been really vocal in the past that these are not the City of Holland fireworks. These are community fireworks. It's something we all do together.
Yeah, that's.
And I think it's really important that everybody knows that we do this stuff together. We do this together. This is really important that we do this stuff together. And I think it's important that when we do stuff together, we chip in. And when you look at the numbers, those numbers are based on who we are and how many people there are. And I think it's important for all of us around this table to say to the people that we represent, this is an important thing that we do together. We all come together on the 4th of July and celebrate who we are. And yeah, it's putting stuff up in the sky. But when part of us don't want to participate together, okay, that's great. But I think that the people that we represent ought to know that some of us aren't participating in that. And I don't want to not go forward when a small part of us don't want to do something, but I think that small part that don't want to do something ought to be made, the people that they represent ought to be made aware of that fact.
I know we're talking about fireworks, but I guess the question is, are the fireworks a victim of something else that's inside of your budget? Or do they not want to
I put
pay
the
for
money,
fireworks?
the money's there. I put the,
But do they not want to spend it because it's grouped in to something else that they don't like at all? Is it, they just don't want
it's
to pay?
just everything that is not a direct benefit to the township as an entity is something that they oppose spending on. Things that are about being community. It's about supporting your residents when they're having a child custody battle or all kinds of things like that.
I mean, I would think that they benefit a lot by this display. So I don't quite understand the thinking, but yeah.
There's a group within the township that just believes that for 35 years we had one manager who seemed to run the township on his own and spent money where he wanted to and didn't listen to, in their minds, the citizens. I actually disagree with that whole analysis. but that's where their head is. And so what they want to do is stand up in public, say, we're fiscally responsive, we're not going to spend your money on fireworks, even though it benefits the entire community.
Yeah, their restaurants, you know, get used, and yeah.
We don't have any restaurants.
That's probably why I don't eat out there.
An opportunity for us to show that there are not walls between our borders.
Right.
And that we freely flow between, and we are a community, that even though that we are separate governmental entities, we as a group are one big council of governments that do all work together and want to work together. And this is a very visible sign of that. You know, and I'm a little bit passionate about this particular thing because I think it's a really visible sign of that. But yeah, and I would really love the people of Lake Town Township to understand that as well.
I think most of them
I think it's a bad
do.
road to go down.
I actually think most of the people in Lake Town support the spending that we do on these contracted services, but they're not as vocal as the ones that don't. So I'm going to invite you to Lake Town. You are so much more persuasive than me about this subject.
And I fought the same battle at the library when I was on the library board, that there were some townships that weren't interested in contributing to the library, and the library actually cut off the library cards to those township members that the township was not contributing with the tax dollars. That happened one cycle. That happened one tax cycle. When the citizens of those townships were not allowed to use the library and were asked to pay directly for a library card, boy, did the township representatives hear about that. Suddenly, the next tax cycle, they were paying for it again. And I think sometimes that's all that has to happen, is that the residents need to hear that their elected representatives are making those kinds of decisions. I'd be happy to come and talk to your board about that, about how important that is, because I really think it is.
Well, that's not a lot of money. I bet two of the businesses in Lake Town, I just kicked that money in like nothing, so that ain't that much money, so.
You want to write a check, John?
I don't live in Lake Town, so.
So you need a motion?
I'd
Yeah.
like one.
Yeah, I'll make that motion for you.
All right, got a motion. Is there a second? All right, is there further discussion? All right, no further discussion. All in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you so much. All right, I know some people at 1 o'clock, but I'd like to run around and do member comments if we have time. Should we start with our host?
Well, I'm glad everybody's here, and we did finally pass our new master plan, so that's adopted now, and happy for having that behind us. I don't know what the total bill was. We allocated $40,000, but I don't think we spent that much, so it's kind of a pricey thing. And the last time we did it, I think it was over 15 years ago. We were able to kick it down the road a little bit, and honestly, we didn't change it a whole lot, but it's an exercise I guess we are all required to do. And that's probably the only thing I got, Jason.
All right, thanks. So where do you want to go?
Well, we got a lot of work out there under contract. We're just waiting for the weather to kind of clear up a little bit, get rolling on paving and reconstruction.
Nice.
A couple of bridge jobs over in the door area that we got going, under contract. They're not started yet, so that's where we're at.
Good.
Good.
First of all, thank you for electing me to be your at-large member. I've always enjoyed the conversations we've had around this table in the 12 years I was at the county. But now I have, I guess, a little broader vision. And Larry was telling me, he says, you live so close to the county line that it's appropriate, you know. So, but my day job as the interim airport manager, a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention. We'll have two fairly significant construction projects this summer. First of all, we will be building a what we call a north taxi lane project. It'll go to the north side if you're familiar with the airport layout. Most of our hangars are along Gehring Boulevard, but we'll be building north of our terminal, or business center, as we like to call it, a new apron, which we could hopefully have some new hangars built, and we'll add to the business activity at the airport. That is a $6 million project. It's slated to start on or about July the 1st. And then secondly, we are one of 4 airports in Michigan that are going to be the site of a aviation electric charging station for the coming age of electric aircraft. We'll also, as part of that contract, be installing a vehicle, normal vehicle, for trucks like the mayor's, charging station. And that is the bonus project for us. Beta Technologies is the company that will be doing it. They're a company out of Vermont that not only builds planes, but goes around and gets these charging stations installed and built. So those are 2 kind of promising projects for the continued development of your child, the West Michigan Airport Authority.
Very good. Thank you. Not too much going on in Zealand. We're at budget time, so it's always busy for staff. And, next week, a couple nights, we'll go through it. We'll see what happens.
Well, this year, if you visit the busy Ottawa County State Park, you will see from Division Avenue to 160th what in the road language, the road diet. So going west, it will be reduced from 2 lanes to 1 lane. It will be restriped here in the next, I think, 60 days. And so it's an attempt to address some of the safety issues that have been highlighted from this team and from our own observations to slow down the traffic. And so the center lane will, or if the lane, the inside lane going west today, we turned into a left-bound or turn lane. And we'll have 1 lane going west and 2 lanes continue to go east. And the road commission has been approved that, gave us a chance to do that, and so we're going to see how that goes. Thanks, Frank, for advocating for that. He leaned into that, and so thank you for joining us in that endeavor to make that road safer and slower. There's been a couple armchair engineers that say why and it's going to slow us down, and I'm thinking there's a lot of second guessing on this stuff, and so be it. I think for the greater good, it's the right decision to be made.
Very good.
It's budget time, and I'm sure with all of you guys as well, so things are a little slow at the city, but you may have heard that there's a movie coming out on Amazon Prime on Thursday called Holland. Takes place in Holland, Michigan. There is a showing tonight at the Knickerbocker Theater. Sorry, sold out. Free tickets, they went really quickly. The director is on her way here now. I will be moderating a question and answer thing after the showing tonight. And when I've seen it, what I'm reminding people of, it is not a documentary. It takes place here. It's not about us. It's not real? Yeah, it is not real.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. Keep that in mind when you see it. It is a dark thriller starring Nicole Kidman. It's entertaining. But remember, it's not about us, and it's not a documentary. I'll leave it at that. Thursday night on Amazon Prime.
Very good.
Yeah, we got, Craig and I have been, we had a meeting with the Hamilton schools. We're kind of trying to figure out what we could do with Hamilton area on their water sewer situation. We had think tank between the 4 of us Friday, and we had a lot of good ideas I think we hashed out, looking for some possible grants. Craig's a good conduit for that. And then we're also working on our Blue Star section of business district, getting water in there. The lawyers are drawing up a tax assessment district petition we got to go around with, and so that there's a lot of, we're
moving forward on this kind of thing, kind of get things moving, because I think it's really important for those areas for their development and to keep moving forward. So thank Craig for helping us on a lot of those things. So it's just works in progress. It's probably years coming, but that's kind of what's. And our offices is getting remodeled now, so hopefully by August it'll be all freshly remodeled. Have a screen like that up there for you, and we
Nice.
should be good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last one, yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so.
All right, great.
Nothing more to add. I'm going to jump in and introduce Ryan Novotny. He's a new face at the table. He is one of the directors that I've had to hire in the last 3 months as the chair of the Macc Transit Authority. Ryan comes to us from, remind me again? That nice lake in Charlevoix, the Charlevoix County. That's where he has had a lot of experience in directing transit. And so I'll let him take over now, but welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Russ. Ryan Novotny, Executive Director of Macc Transit. I have about a decade of experience in public transportation. I'm still getting my feet wet around here. I meet new people every day. So I apologize if I don't remember your names from today, but we'll get there. Like I said, still getting my feet wet and learning the area. Excited to move forward with you guys and work on these projects.
And he brings a great family with him.
Yeah, I have 4 children under 10.
Yeah.
Trying to relocate, dealing with little emotions, they're happy, they're sad, Daddy, I don't want to go. And then I show them the urban air or one of the playgrounds. Oh, this could be great. But yeah, we close on our house this week and hope to be down living here next week. So.
What school district?
Zealand.
Oh, good. I'm your commissioner. Nice to meet you. Yeah. This is the longest serving mayor for Zealand. Second longest. Hoogland. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
I'm on your board too.
He sits over there. Yeah, Holland Charter Township. I'm trying to think of anything new. The big one is, we're still having that grand opening coming up. End of June is our plan for the community center. That's part of the renovation in the mall complex. And not only hiring Ryan, but I had to hire 3 other directors in the last 3 months. So Terry left me with a busy job when I first got on board, but everybody's hired. And Ben, and I can't pronounce his last name, he is the new director for our community center. He'll probably show his face here at least once too, just to get introduced to the wider group of people and talk a little bit more about that grand opening that's coming up. So everybody hopefully can get through there and enjoy it. It'll be a broad community center for use, I think. Thanks.
Port Sheldon, we're dealing with consumers still. Go figure. Mike answers lots of questions to people that has stuff. It's basically more of what we can and cannot do. A lot of it is what we cannot do. Like, barring some crazy thing that's still going to get shut down here real soon. And then we're dealing, some residents had some concerns about plowing the sidewalks over the winter time, and we don't have that contracted, but we were trying to figure that out. And man, that's costly. So unless something really changes with our budget, I don't know if that's going to be able to be added. But we're looking into it, and we're getting numbers and trying to figure that out to help them out a little bit.
The county's doing great. And for those of you that didn't notice, Commissioner Jortsma joined us in the back wall over here, District 2. So, yeah, no, it feels good. I think, we're 1 quarter in with the new board, and everybody's finding their feet underneath them and getting more familiar with the process of how things work. So it feels very good. I wanted to give an attaboy to our farmers market, the Holland Farmers Market. I was reading on NPR and PBS a cool little call out for us. It says here, a recent study was conducted, and nearly 340 flea markets and farmers markets across the entire United States on TripAdvisor that had at least 50 user reviews. They rated all those, and out of all that, the Holland Farmers Market came in 5th in the entire United States. So, way to go. We are a farming community. We are who we are because of our farmers. And so I love it that we celebrate them that way. I think that there's a huge movement to return to farmers markets. I'm somebody that attends them often, and so I certainly like being part of the home of the 5th best in the entire United States. So that's a special thing. So congrats.
Checks in the mail.
Yes.
Okay, so Lakeshore Advantage, man, lots of stuff happening going on. We have everything happening from big projects that we're trying to move forward to some regional industry cluster work, including like in the ag sector that we're working with our regional partners on, doing some mapping there. One thing I did want to flag, in May, we will be hosting 2 educational sessions for our public sector leaders, so elected officials, including Board of Trustees members, about how to engage with economic development. So we'll be holding one in May in Allegan County at the beginning of May, and then one at the Fillmore Complex up in Ottawa County towards the end. So I will send out and share those dates. We're just finalizing details, but we're doing that with support from the counties as well, and we'll collaborate. So again, if you have board members, council members who maybe started serving this past fall and you'd like them to have a better understanding of economic development and what role they can play, that could be a great conversation for them to attend and be part of.
Just a couple things for Zealand Township. We are kicking off our master plan. Saying now, it might be in the next 3 months, but we are starting the process with that. So we're only about a year behind on that one, so I guess it's pretty good compared to many. We have started the 74-76 bike trail connection, which connects Adams to Byron. I think there was some demand for that, and they've done the boardwalks, but we're going to do the actual project this spring. I think that'll be a great connection. I know we're still looking at other connections. Getting through the business loop there at 196 would be a great connection to the bike trail. I think that's got some cost concerns and some logistical concerns, but we're not going to give up on that one either. And then the other thing is we just approved last week Prairie Winds West, which was 244 single-family homes. Final approval of that. Obviously, anytime we approve a housing project, different philosophies fill the room of what's a proper density and what's affordable and what's not affordable. I think more that should at the table are starting to understand that we as a township will not survive if we set our minimum housing value at $600,000 expect to grow. So I think we need to have some housing diversity in our township, and we're starting to learn that. So that's where we're at.
That's great. Thanks. All right, I think that's about it.
You have 2 more over there. Steve and Frank.
And then make it around the table.
Oh, yeah, we did. I'm sorry, you guys.
So we did pass the budget. It has some good spending in there. We're bringing some more Allegan County Sheriff's deputies into the township for the first time since 2016. And we're also doing a pilot program with the interurban bus service out of Saugatuck to service Laketown Township. The next step on that is going to be to get Macc into Laketown Township, and then to get interurban and Macc to hook up and have a transfer point. So we're talking planning for busing. We have a lot of kids who go to the Saugatuck Public Schools who will take advantage of that. We also have a lot of elderly people who look forward to taking the bus as opposed to driving out for dinner. So that's a very positive thing. If the trial goes well with interurban, we're going to have to figure out how to finance it. That's going to be in a millage, but we'll cross that bridge when we find out how popular it is. I stuck both those things in the budget. Nobody said boo. I wondered why they were bitching about contracted services. They let the police and the bus go right through. I don't get it. Maybe they didn't read it, but.
The County Road Association is holding its annual conference the next few days in Lansing, so hopefully we'll have a better understanding of what exactly the budget means when it comes to the roads. We do meet with some of our legislators every year that we go down there, so not that I'll understand it all, but hopefully we'll have a better understanding of it.
You're planning on going? You'll be there?
Yes, I'll be there a couple of days, yeah.
Which reminds me, is anybody else going to the MTA conference in Grand Rapids? All right, I'll see some familiar faces. That's next week.
All right, now I think we're done. So next meeting is April. That'll be an important one. They all are, because we're not meeting in May, and then we do full budget approval in June. So next April, the 28th, next month. So looking for a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Support?
Support.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That's
Sorry, that went a little long.
Sorry, I sent an email.